Getting back on the Summer Under the Stars bandwagon, I actually watched one of these films yesterday, but I wanted to talk about all three of these films together. This was Cary Grant Day. Cary Grant Day was actually Sunday, but I had a friend visiting, so I'm a little behind. So the first one I watched was I Was a Male War Bride. This is from 1949. I actually quite like the um, original title of the book it was based on better. I was an alien spouse of female military personnel en route to the United States under Public Law 271 of the Congress, which is a biography by Henri Rochard, a Belgian who married an American nurse. However, in this film, Cary Grant is playing the Belgian or the Frenchman without ever trying to change his accent, so that was strange. And they change it from a nurse to a woman Army Corps officer played by Anne Sheridan. There's not really a lot happening with the Woman Army Corps commentary in this, and it's unfortunate. Like, quite a few of the films of the era about the Woman Army Corps really make the Woman Army Corps into a joke, and that always really upsets me because these women are veterans as well, and were soldiers, and they should have been treated as such, both in the war. I mean, in the films made during the war, post-war, and in World War II films now, and half the people I've talked to don't even know that the Woman Army Corps ever even existed, and it was functioning for over 40 years. So that's frustrating. Anyways, I watched this film. It is not the best Howard Hawks film I've ever seen. Cary Grant and Ann Sheridan have no chemistry, and he is a bit of a jerk through the whole movie, so it was kind of hard to watch. And honestly, the first, I don't know, 30, 40 minutes are just them fighting, but not that kind of like sexual tension fighting like His Girl Friday. And instead it's just fighting, and you're like, and then suddenly they get married, and you're like, I don't understand. And then the rest of the movie is a joke on that I was the alien spouse of a female military personnel en route to the United States, and all of this crazy um, red tape they have to go through, and explaining that he is a foreign man marrying a woman rather than a woman marrying a man, and they repeat the joke over and over and over and over, and it's not funny to begin with. And by the time they've made the same joke like 10 times, I'm like, just can this movie just end? And then they put him in drag, and even him in drag isn't funny. And I just found this movie not funny, and I found it kind of grating and hard to watch. So um, that is I Was a Male War Bride. The next film I watched is probably of all these three Cary Grant films the one I liked the most. This was 1939's In Name Only. It's Carole Lombard, Cary Grant, and Kay Francis. I think, unfortunately, because it's more of a melodrama, it doesn't really play to Carole Lombard's strengths, which is comedy. She can do drama. She's great, but she's so good in comedy that it's I always feel a waste of her talent when she's not doing um, intelligent comedy. So that was kind of a bummer. And her character never really gets to shine in this film. However, she does have chemistry with Cary Grant. Kay Francis is towards the end of her sort of popularity. She's starting to wane. She plays a real bitch in this film. Like, I kept going like, did you just do that? And then she just did that. She was my favorite thing in this because I really hated her, and you were really supposed to hate her, and I really hated her. So that was great. Charles Coburn was fantastic. This is a few years before he won his Oscar for The More the Merrier, one of the funniest films of all time. Um, it gets. This is probably not a film for people who don't like melodramas. It's very melodramatic. Basically, Cary Grant and Kay Francis are married. Kay Francis is a gold digger. She married him for money. He knows it. He is probably has had an affair with her best friend, but not because he's in love, but because he's unhappy. He then meets Carole Lombard, who is a widow with a young child. He really does fall in love, and so he tries to get his wife to divorce him quietly, so there's no scandal. Shenanigans ensue. Scandal's gonna happen no matter what, and there's a great sequence where he gets really drunk on Christmas Eve with another man, and it's maybe the best drunk Christmas Eve in a bar sequence, like even better than It's a Wonderful Life, mostly because it's very comical, whereas It's a Wonderful Life is very dramatic. But You could do this as a double feature just to have the double feature be drunk Christmas Eve at a bar. I'm gonna program that someday. So I liked this. It's high melodrama, and I love melodrama. So if you're not a fan of melodrama, this is not for you. But it's a great melodrama. And I had not realized until last year that John Cromwell is James Cromwell's father, and that he was a director. Like, I've seen so many John Cromwell films, not realizing that this was James Cromwell's father, and also that he was blacklisted. There's quite a story with John Cromwell, but he made so many movies. Like, he directed so many movies, and so many movies that I really enjoyed. Um, so that's interesting. John Cromwell. The last film I watched was H.C. Potter's Mr. Lucky from 1943. It's Cary Grant and Lorraine Day, and Charles Bickford. Lorraine Day is pretty good. I didn't particularly care for this movie either. It straddles the line between romance and drama, and I never really quite buy the romance, but it's a little too sour. Cary Grant is another one of these characters that he's not. I mean, he's trying to be charming, but I don't find him charming, and I mostly just was upset through most of this movie because I didn't like his character, and I didn't care for the story, and I didn't buy the redemption at the end. He's a gambler who's gonna try to fleece. First, he gets out of going to the war, and then he tries to fleece a war charity, and then he's supposed to, like, because of the love of Lorraine Day, he's supposed to, you know, love redeems him and he becomes a good man, and I just don't buy it. So that's hard to watch because I'm like, nah, he's a jerk and he's gonna stay a jerk. I don't really believe people change that much. So that was that one. I do like Lorraine Day though, so it's always nice to see her in a film. So I was a male war bride in Name Only and Mr. Lucky. I also recently discovered that I've seen more Robert Montgomery films than Cary Grant, but close. I think I'm on 45 Robert Montgomery and 42 Cary Grants. Cary Grant made like 78 films, so I've got quite a few left to watch. I'm not sure how many Robert Montgomerys I have left, but I'm getting there. Summer of the Stars. These are on Watch TCM until Sunday. And I'm sorry, I was thinking. And Mr. Lucky is definitely on Warner Archive Collection. I think in Name Only is as well. And I don't think I Was a Male War Bride is, but I do believe that's on DVD. So you can find these elsewhere. And keep watching the movies.